Hey everyone, it's Lance from Christianity Minute. Well, 2 more days. Only 2 more days, and it's Christmas. Well, if you're an adult, it's hard to believe that it's already here. And if you're a kid, well, it took just about 10 minutes shy of forever to get here. But now there's only 2 more days, and Christmas will be here. My tree is up, as you can see. The presents are all down underneath it. This one's for my wife, by the way. I really hope she likes it. Not going to tell you what it is, because she's just in the next room. You know, all this month we've been examining different aspects of Christmas. And you've seen from the decorations all over my home that, hey, I'm still celebrating Christmas. But today we want to answer a question, whether Christians really should be celebrating Christmas or not. First, a recap of the videos this month. The first week this month, we talked about birthdays. Well, certainly they're a great thing to celebrate, and we're absolutely authorized to do so in the biblical text. The second week, we talked about authority and what authority there was and how we get authority for what we do. Last week, we talked about acceptable worship to God and a few of the places where we get these ideas for acceptable worship from the Bible. So, leads us back to our question, whether Christians should celebrate Christmas. This is really a kind of a complicated question with an answer that might surprise you. Like I said, obviously, I do celebrate. But you'll notice there are virtually no religious symbology in my decorating anywhere. Let me state a fact, a known fact. Jesus was not born on Christmas Day. Anyone who tells you this, including some very popular Christmas songs, are really lying to you. The thing is that we don't have a clue exactly when Jesus' birthday was. The scriptures point to either the spring or the fall in a couple of different places, the first being Luke chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus to all the world that should be registered." This was the first registration when Quirinius was governor of Syria. And all went out to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David. We're also going to look at Luke chapter 2 and verse 8 that says, "In that same region there were shepherds out in the field, keeping watch over the flock by night." Well, the first one, Luke chapter 2 verse 1, is, well, let's face it wouldn't make sense to force a population to travel in the dead of winter, because that would be kind of foolish for the first century for a government to put its people in such grave danger. Secondly, look at our second verse there, Luke chapter 2 and verse 8. It's in the dead of summer and in the dead of winter. The flocks aren't going to be out in the field. They'd be in barns or someplace sheltered, because in the summertime the grasses would be all dried up and they would need to be fed hay and things of that nature. And in the wintertime it would be too cold for the shepherd to be out to protect the flock. And here you can see them outside at night with the flocks out in the field, so it has to be a temperate time of year. Okay, so we can establish that Jesus was not born on December 25th. Well, many will argue they still want to celebrate Jesus' birthday, and what's wrong with that? Well, I know that we celebrated my birthday almost a week late this year, because my daughter and I were actually both out sick. I didn't mind. Why would Jesus mind? I mean, we're still honoring him, right? I had some really good seafood. I didn't mind at all. Well, here's the problem. When we're talking about God, he has told us how to worship him, and has given us the authorities needed to worship him in specific ways. So if we worship him through a celebration of his birth, well, that would be in violation. Okay, so let's look at it a little differently then. Let's say we do our regular worship, and have his birth as the message. Well, wouldn't that put us in compliance with God's prescribed worship? Well, yeah, it would. In fact, I preached a sermon just 2 short weeks ago about the birth of Christ in context of this time of year. Some points of which you would find in this video if you just so happen to be at that church. But to attach Christmas presents a whole new problem: perception. The world sees December 25th as Jesus' birthday because of the lie that was sent out by the Catholic Church from way back into the 4th century. To continue to associate this time of year presents a lie about Christ. While it may not be presented directly saying that Jesus' birthday is December 25th, to continue to associate the time with him perpetuates that lie. And a lie about God is summed up in one little word that's a little more obvious as something that we should avoid: blasphemy. This time of year really is a great time. People have Christ in the forefront of their minds. The ideas of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, are ideas that people try harder to embody this time of year. Why? Well, it's because they think that there's something special about this time of year. And from a biblical context, there's nothing. It should act that way all the time. So, why, you may ask, do I still have my Christmas tree here? Why do I still celebrate Christmas? Well, there is an easy association with blasphemy. But there's 2 reasons why. And the first reason is really nicely summed up in a quote by F.B. Meyer. He wrote this in 1898 when he said, quote, "It's necessary for some of us to move in society and to attend festive gatherings. As the Lord went to the wedding feast and accompanied and accepted Simon's invitation, so must we. The sphere of our life lies necessarily in the world. But when we're entering scenes of recreation and pleasure, we should be more than ever careful to put on our armor, and by previous meditation and prayer, prepare ourselves for the inevitable temptation. And when it's all over, the lights are down, we should quietly review our behavior under the light that streams from the Word of God." You know, the second reason why I still celebrate Christmas is that it gives us golden opportunities to spread the gospel. When people say, Jesus is the reason for the season, well, you know, it provides a really easy opportunity to talk about the truth of the gospel. When people ask why Jesus is left out of my decorating, I explain to them why the birth isn't even included in 2 of the Gospels. When people ask me to their church services for special events, well, it's easy to continue a spiritual discussion with someone who's already initiated that discussion. Just as Paul did in Acts chapter 17, when he began to speak to the Athenians about the unknown God, we can use errant activity to guide people to the right, to Christ, to a better knowledge of the Bible, and to a mindset that will lead them to a home in heaven. If that's not a love fitting for the holidays, I don't know what is. That's been your Christianity Minute for this week. You know, I've always worked really hard to make sure that all things said here today are scripturally accurate. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. Let me know what you're doing this Christmas time. You know, I'll be staying right here in town, the town that I live, to spend time with my wife's family this year. We'll go see mine next year. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, well, there's that thumbs down icon as well. But if you'd like to see more from Christianity Minute, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. I post every Sunday night at 6 o'clock, and I really look forward to seeing you next week on Christianity Minute. And a Merry Christmas from my family to yours.